Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Drawing on Fridays, the Landon Huber Experience Show. In a previous episode, I believe episode 9 it was, I did this drawing here of a bat monster, and it's going to be featured on my Etsy shop on landonhuberart.etsy.com in the future when it's all finished and inked and colored. But in this episode, you will see the finishing of the drawing of this piece. This is pretty rough. You're going to see me fine-tune it more in the drawing stage. And then at the end, you will see the finished inks of this piece. So stick around and enjoy this episode. All right. So, these episodes are about 30 minutes, so first thing I do is set the timer. Set timer for 30 minutes.
30 minutes, counting down.
And let's begin. Alright, so when I'm looking at this, one of the areas I want to sort of attack first is, get this light a little bit adjusted, is the face. Right now I'm squinting and looking. And on this side I'm not worried about maintaining too much of that white edge. Actually, I want to kind of get rid of it a bit. There's going to be certain areas that kind of get grayed out, and that's what I'm going for. And you're going to see these little shapes get more and more refined as we go on here. So buckle up and get ready for the ride. I have the window open so you guys might hear outside sounds in the audio. Cars driving by, etc., etc., etc. But it's a nice day, and I want to hear those things. They add to the soundtrack. Alright, what do I want to do here with this face? Let's get a little bit more black going in there. Or what I should call future black. That is cool. I don't know if I'm going to talk about too much in this episode. You guys should definitely go back and watch some of the other episodes. I do talk more about all sorts of things. My thoughts, things that are art related. But you see, this thing is just going to get a little bit more fine-tuned. When I want to indicate a gray area, I use hatching. But at the same time, I don't want to get too carried away with gray. Now, when I ink this, a lot of this stuff in here needs to be just solid black. Because I find when I tend to like even in other artists' work, I tend to like art that, and this is a generality, but I tend to like art that does have a certain amount of solid black areas that It just looks cool to me. But at the same time, there is art that uses lots of grays. There's art that all over the spectrum, and I think there isn't a one sort of rule to every piece needs to follow, because even some art that has been made in the past that's like could be considered pretty crude. I think Van Gogh is a great artist, but some of his pieces you could call crude. But does that mean that they're not great pieces of art? I would say, on the contrary, they are. Because he put so much feeling into what he was doing. And other artists too, that it's not all just about how refined the marks or the knowledge of all the different things that have to do with art. I'm not saying it's bad to know those things. I think it's good to know those things. But what I'm just getting at is that there's something that's more important, which is the feeling, the idea, Now, if you really just don't have any art skills whatsoever, it might be difficult to convey the idea, and I get that side, but I guess what I'm saying is somebody that makes something really interesting doesn't always have to be the most technically proficient artist, and that goes for music too. Some of my favorite songs aren't the most advanced kinds of songs, but they have an emotional content which supersedes any lack of sophistication. And that's the same point I'm trying to make right now. So you may see some piece and say, well, it doesn't have enough of this or that, or the values are off, or this or that. But if the emotional content is actually captured, to me that kind of supersedes all that other stuff. Because you can also become it can also be like where's my kneaded eraser? Oh, here it is. It can also become a thing of getting caught up in techniques, to where you think it's all about that. It's all about just technical abilities, and I don't really think it is 100%. I think it helps to have technical ability, for sure. It's like if you have a great piece of art and the artist does have technical ability, but also has a lot of emotional content. And maybe I'm being a little vague there, but I think, you can kind of get what I'm saying of what emotional content means. But back to my point, so that's going to be the best of both worlds if you both have a certain amount of technical skill as well as a certain amount of emotional content, or as well as having a high level of emotional content. What is the emotional content of this creature here? Is pretty much just a thing that goes bump in the night. You know, I want to evoke that. I also want to evoke a certain amount of energy in the art itself, but I would say that's the emotional content. I can hear saws going off in the background as I draw this creature that goes bump in the night. Well, right now would probably be a good time to promote a few things. As I said earlier in the episode, I have a Etsy shop, landonhubertart.etsy.com. Check the link in the description. And I have a lot of the finished versions of these cool Halloween artworks are up over there. And I would strongly recommend you guys go over there and check them out. I sell t-shirts and prints predominantly over there. And it's the only place you're going to find them, as they are not available in retail stores. So head over and check it out. I also still sell things on eBay. I have an eBay. I haven't been promoting the eBay too much, but I probably should. I sell things directly over there. Check the links in the description for all that. I also do commissions, and if anybody's interested, I don't do them for free, but if you're willing to pay for an artist to create a piece of art, and if it's something I feel I can do, I will do that. I'm open for commissions. And if you're interested in a commission from me, then go to my website, which you can also find in the descriptions. You guys hear that skateboarder? I'm getting a little bit smudgy, so I'm gonna get my anti-smudge material going here. I kind of want to do something with this area in here. I'm kind of just working from my subconscious here. It's going to be cool once I ink this to have these big old black shapes in here. It is a balance. It's a balancing act, making art. If you go too far one way or the other and you lose the balance, and you alter the impact. And here's a kind of interesting thing that I find when I get to the finishing stage of doing the final details on a piece. that in a way, every move you make at that point, like you may get to a point and the picture clicks, and actually at that point you should probably just leave it and call it done. But then if you go and alter one thing, it changes the whole picture. Because the thing that little magical element that made it kind of click all together, whatever that is, probably a combination of 1,000 things, but when you change something, it kind of throws off the whole balance, and then you have to kind of keep working it until you get to another balance, and then at that point is when you should probably call it, because you keep going, pretty soon you get to that, in 2.5 seconds you're in that area of overworking it. You don't want to do that. Just refining these fingers a little bit. Hopefully this picture turns out. I don't want it to go off the rails. When I originally drew this episode, I was struggling with this hand a little bit, and actually finished it off camera, which you would see in the original episode. Sometimes you can see here I'm going in with this little eraser and knocking in little highlights. Riding the motorcycle. I have an interesting little side story about motorcycles. When I was growing up, my dad was a fireman, and he saw some horrific things, some tragic things that had to do with motorcycle accidents on the road. I mean, it's a dangerous world we live in. And he did not want his kids riding a motorcycle. Now, my younger brother, he really wanted a motorcycle and he used to beg my dad, but my dad would never let him have one because he saw what could happen. And then years later, when my brother grew up, he just ended up doing pretty good in his business. He ended up buying all these motorcycles and things for himself and his kids. But I have to say, it's mostly dirt biking he does. He still doesn't, I don't think he really rides motorcycles around in the street. And I know, if you're a motorcycle guy, then you love that sort of thing, then that's cool, but it's kind of like, I've heard people use the analogy, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So, I don't know. Just to be honest, that kind of scares me, so I am not a motorcycle guy, but I think it would be fun. It's just, I've ridden on them before, it's a little bit dangerous, guys, a little bit dangerous. What the heck, life is dangerous proposition anyway, right? So ride at your own risk, I say. Well, I don't know. This picture is it's almost there. I mean, I'll just keep working on it a little bit. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know this either, but I'm also a musician and I've put out some albums, and guys should listen to them. They're all on this YouTube channel. Just check them out. They're pretty awesome. It's not radio pop, but it's good songs and good times. I'm gonna sharpen. Actually, I think I'll go to my mechanical pencil for a while here. When I start getting into the smaller details, then I'll switch over to the mechanical pencil. But let me check what's the time. Alright, got about 10 minutes left of the episode here. Alright. So I have a goal to make 26 episodes, which is going to be season 1 of Drawing on Fridays. And once I reach that goal, which is coming up here after a few more episodes, I am going to be taking a hiatus. I have other things I need to do. And it is a time commitment. Anything you do in life is a commitment. So it's kind of like that scene in. Am I going way off the page here? Move down a little bit so you guys can see kind of what I'm doing. I'm working on these trees. It's kind of like the scene in the end of that cool Indiana Jones movie, not the Raiders, what was it called? Raiders is awesome. That's most people's favorite, and of course I really love Raiders. But the one I'm talking about is The Last Crusade, and there's a scene at the end where he's talking to the old knight, which I had. Here's an interesting side note, because I had this conversation with my wife that it actually doesn't make sense that he's old. Okay? Why doesn't it make sense? Because at the time when he was given the job to sit there and protect the Grail, thousands of years ago, they wouldn't have picked this really old man to do that, right? It would have been given to a strong knight, most likely in his prime, able to hold a sword, and but in the story is this old knight, an old man, and he can't even lift his sword anymore. Like, he's been sitting there for so long, and then he says, "My strength has left me." So what my point is that I'm getting at is that actually doesn't logically make sense. Because if he was put in charge of protecting the Grail, he would have been a younger man, but he also would have been staying that close to the Grail, would have been given the eternal life and would have preserved his youth. Because as you know in the movie, when the bad guy, the Nazi, drinks the wrong Grail, he chooses the wrong Grail, he does he withers away and right before your eyes. And actually, that scene when I was a kid, my parents used to hide my eyes so I couldn't. My dad or my mom was just, Landon, don't look, But then eventually I did see it. I would maybe peek out of the corner of my eyes. And it was pretty terrifying. But at the same time, it was kind of, exhilarating. But yeah, do you guys know what I'm talking about? So then you got to ask the question, why did Spielberg do that? Why is the knight an old man? And I have the answer for you. And it's the same answer of why the T-Rex at the end of Jurassic Park is suddenly inside of this tiny room that there's no logical way that he could fit inside. And the answer is simple. Dramatic effect. And in a strange way, that kind of ties in what I was saying earlier in the episode. And I would have to agree. I think it makes a more dramatic movie in some strange ethereal way to have the knight be an old wise man, because it evokes the sense that he's been waiting for eons for someone to come, even though logically, like I just said, it doesn't make sense. So what does that mean? It means dramatic effect is more important. Emotional content is more important than a logical reason for doing something. Kind of magical. And yeah, it's almost there, guys. I'm just fine-tuning these trees a little bit here in the background. These kind of trees kind of wisp over. And the pencils in this are slightly rough still. It's been fine-tuned from where it was at the beginning of the episode. But I think it's getting closer to where skylines. It's a skyline. It's getting closer to where it's good enough I can start inking and be just creative in the inking of this. You know? Check the time again. About 2 minutes. I'm gonna check the camera. I'll be right back. Okay. The camera did not shut off, luckily, so we're still good for a few more minutes here. Hopefully you guys could see everything I'm doing. I don't have anybody sort of looking over my shoulder here. I just set the camera up and go. Some people talking in the background. Don't they know I'm recording? Come on. Hello? I'm recording over here. Hello? Just kidding. I'm not really that rude. Everybody has a shadow side, though. Even the nicest people you meet may sometimes lose their temper. That's something I've been trying to work on within myself. It's kind of in the family. You ask anybody that knows my family, and they're good people, but you know they can have a little bit of a temper. Some of them. It's not a short fuse is the best way to put it. Not all the time, but you just don't want to sort of do anything messed up to them. Oh, there's a timer. No, I have nothing but good things to say about my family. So, here we are. This is the end of the episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching. Let's stick around and you will see the final inks. Just doing a couple little doodads there. Alright, I think I can ink that. Thanks for stopping by, guys, and thanks for watching this episode of Drawing on Fridays, the Landon Huber Experience Show. Bye for now. See you next time.